Hey guys, it's Tarot and Beyond. There was a little bit of resistance to me jumping on and doing this video today. Literally, right as I sat down to film this, I chipped my nail and I had just gotten these done for New Year's. Now, usually that would just kind of be like a normal everyday thing, like this happens. But when I get into the reading bubble, there is no such thing as coincidences. And as I felt the prompt to do this reading, outside of my normal schedule, I did feel some resistance, but I can tell that, luckily, I can tell the difference between true resistance, meaning I'm not meant to do it right then, and false resistance, which is something else pushing against what I'm meant to be doing. So we are meant to be doing this reading, but there is something that is a little tense or trying to dissuade this message or this energy from coming through. I don't even know what the topic is going to be. The only thing Spirit has allowed me to be privy to is that the reading needs to be done, that we're going to be pulling a topic from the topics jar, which I normally do on the members side of the channel. These are written in topics that members have submitted, and that we're going to be using this particular deck, which is like an archangel. It's like a modern archangel deck. All right, so this is the jar with the topics that members have submitted. It's kind of getting a little low. I'm going to have to ask for some more soon, but let's go ahead and grab. Okay, I feel like I need to really shake it up. Oh, let's shake it up and like see if one comes out. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Important lifetimes that have shaped who you are today. Ooh, a soul blueprint reading. So this is actually something that I used to do back in my To Kitty and Beyond days, which was my old channel. I have it linked on the homepage here. And I did Akashic soul realignment readings. And in those, we would look at the soul blueprint. We would look at the divine energy of the soul, like what your gifts are at soul level, how you express, how to work with that functionally, and how that can present dysfunctionally. We'd also look at your starseed origins, where your soul originated and how that impacts your personality, your presentation, your needs, etc. And then we would go into like things about manifestation, and then more importantly, karmic patterns and how to resolve them based on your dominant energy. I don't do those readings anymore, but I do know that there are several soul realignment practitioners in the member side of the channel specifically, but even possibly on this side of the channel, the public side. So if you're looking for a soul realignment reading, first of all, there's links in the description box. You can go to Andrea Hess's website. She's the founder of that modality. And I think there's a database of all the practitioners. The reason I stopped doing it is because Spirit told me I was done with that and I needed to move to this. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, I would still be doing it. And let's go ahead and pull the cards here. Okay, so for group number one, we have Thoth. Oh, that's a whole can of worms that we're gonna have to open up there. Okay, Thoth, group one. Group two. Okay, we've got both group 2 and 3. So group 2 is Saint Francis. Is that the same thing as Saint Francis of Assisi? Or because I think he popped into my head earlier this week and I wasn't sure who this was. I'll have to Google that. And then for group 3, we have Archangel Christiel. Not familiar too much with that energy, but there you go. So those are the options. Go ahead and select your group and we'll see you in your reading. Hey guys, quick update on the Akashic reading offer that I mentioned in group number 1. Probably will mention in group 2 and 3, though I haven't filmed those readings yet. Spirit brought me the idea to offer to you guys a more personalized style of this reading. So we're going to be doing like an Akashic channeled reading. We're still going to use cards, but I will channel some information from your Akash that is relevant to your soul mission at this time. Okay, so if that sparks your interest, your curiosity, or more importantly, your intuition is nudging you in that direction, then the offer will be available on my website. It's tarotandbeyond.com. tarotandbeyond.com. You can go ahead and order the reading. It will be limited to about 8 readings. It takes a lot of energy and time and divine timing for me to do these readings and to channel this information. So I do have to limit it. I'm sorry for those who are not able to book readings at the time that I make them available. I will continue to do this for some time into the future. But it takes a lot for me to do these readings. Personally, it's different than doing a collective reading. The collective readings are a lot easier for me energetically. They still take a lot of energy, but the personal readings are very intense. And so I will limit it to 8 spots. And if you're interested, you can go ahead and book that now. Okay, I love you, and we'll see you in your readings. All right, hi group number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose Thoth. It says wisdom, time, writing, Akashic records. It's funny because that was the topic that came out, and in the intro, that's what I was talking about. That's one of the things that I do here. I am an Akashic reader, even though I don't offer those personal readings anymore. Oh, you know what? I'm feeling the prompt that I'm going to be offering an Akashic style reading. It's not going to be the soul realignment readings that I used to do back in the day, but I am going to be offering an Akashic style tarot and channeled reading. Okay, let's get into your reading, and I'm going to mull over what Spirit wants me to offer with that, and I will do a video and I'll stitch that in after the intro. That's where that offer will be. If you're interested, you can click back onto that. I will have it in the timestamps. Okay, we're just riding with this reading, aren't we? So, wisdom, time, writing, Akashic records. Your soul wants to talk about some Atlantean timelines. Now, this can also show up as Egyptian lifetimes, but specifically I'm getting Atlantis. And oftentimes people actually paint Atlantis as looking more Grecian and having more of like these pillars and white and things like that. But when I go to Atlantis psychically, when I remote view my lifetimes in Atlantis, no, they don't look like that. They look like they're in Egypt. I see sarcophagi, I see hieroglyphics, I see lush gardens, I see gold, I see blue, I see silver, a lot of adornments. I see wooden boats, I see the Nile, and I see it flooding. So it to me, this is kind of what Atlantis looks like. I could be wrong, but that's the energy I get. Okay, so like, don't come for me in the comments if you don't agree. Just bear with me. So like, let's look at what we're looking at here. What are we gonna? Yeah, they did call me to this deck. All right, so this is actually one of my 144,000. Get rid of the junk. Oh, junk DNA. We could be talking about the Akashic records that is held within your DNA blueprint. Written into your DNA blueprint. And you being one of the 144,000, which are these souls that have volunteered, and there's way more than that now, but initially this was like the starting point that we came in at, volunteered to anchor higher consciousness to help the planet evolve into the golden age. But the fall of Atlantis was at the end of one of the previous Kali, what was that? The Kali... I think we're moving into the Kali Yuga, Kali Yutra. I would have to Google that because I don't know it off the top of my head. But I'm going to move this to the side. Holy shit. Time Lords, environment. Okay. Thoth is literally a Time Lord. 333 as I paused there for a second. Okay. So there's a pause here as you've switched environments from these previous lifetimes into this one. The version of you that I'm talking to now may not know that you're a Time Lord. What does this mean? Doctor Who. Those are okay. I was seeing Doctor Who references yesterday, just starting to pop up on my timeline. Literally, we're going to be talking about timelines in this reading. And Doctor Who is actually a pretty decent sort of representation of what a Time Lord kind of is. That's obviously fictionalized and characterized and all that, but the idea of being able to move through time, and in this case being able to rewrite time, is what I'm getting. and how that changes the environment of the particular incarnation. So to change time, you actually have to incarnate into the life, into a human body. They're showing me a baby right now, a baby with dark hair and dark skin. It's like very tan skin. And they're showing me that baby growing up in like a time lapse. I'm seeing the baby becoming like a child, a toddler, adolescent, running around. They're showing me like dirt floors. And it looks like I'm seeing like pottery. Okay. And like mud hut, almost like walls, kind of like that. But it's not super bare bones. Like it feels very homey, very comfy, very safe. And I'm seeing this process unfold of development. They're actually saying psychic development. I'm seeing this child being chosen for a role as he becomes an adult. He's going through this initiation. I'm hearing the age 14. That's pretty early, in my opinion, to become an adult, but I guess that was one of the customs. I don't know the validity of that historically, but that's what they're showing me. 14 years old, went through this rite of passage or initiation, and then were chosen to be, they're saying architect, but it's not like hammer and nails architect or like blueprints. They're talking about soul blueprints here, like soul architecture. So being chosen to work on understanding and developing the psychic abilities so that the soul blueprint can be seen. Okay, so a lot of you in this group are writers. And the reason this is connected is because when you can see into the other realms and you can kind of pick up on these Akashic blueprints of other people or of time itself, you can see how things unfold. You naturally just channel a lot, okay? And so what you do is then write that down. You write that down, you transcribe it, is actually what Spirit just said. You transcribe it, and you are able to relay a lot of information in a story format. I did mention fictionalized stories like Doctor Who, for example, that portray relevant and truthful information in a way that is digestible by the masses. So people who are not of that same full state of awareness or consciousness, like they wouldn't be able to fully wrap their heads around the idea of an actual Time Lord. And so you present it to them through fiction, passively. And they start to integrate that thought into their consciousness. And that helps to shift the collective soul blueprint, because we're not separate, we're all one. And so it does quite literally shift the environment of the collective awareness. So storytellers are so, I'm actually hearing the word magnificent. I was going to say storytellers are so important to the fabric of our consciousness reality because they help to construct it in certain ways. It's like thought forms, that we're all contributing to, worlds that are created or that are channeled, and tidbits of information that are inlaid into the story. And they're saying, read between the lines. Diary, okay? See? Writing. It's like a diary of the experiences that you've been through. So actually, if you're writing something, you're not actually writing just from your imagination. You're channeling stuff from your previous experiences, either here on Earth, or if it's coming through a science fiction, you're channeling stuff from your galactic history. Basically, you're tapping into the Akashic record and drawing that information out and through you, and then writing it into a story with fictional characters, but they're always based on something. So there's more truth than not, is what they're showing me. And they keep saying the reason this is important is because you shift the environment of the collective consciousness by contributing these knowings, these thought forms, these awarenesses, this information, this historical data. They're showing me something about data sets and data points that are mixed in or hidden into. Oh, they're showing me DNA spirals and like these packets of information in the DNA. And then they're also showing me a diary, like an actual diary that logs all of these different events. And they're showing me that they're like interchangeable, these two things. Your DNA is like a diary and it's all in there so you can access it at any time through developing your soul's consciousness and accessing the truth from within you. It's like stored in you. The references that I was seeing to Doctor Who were shorts on YouTube, and they were episodes that I haven't seen. I've only seen like the first 2 seasons, and it was actually Spirit who recommended that I watch that show. I would never have like chosen that, but they kept showing me references to it. This was like, I think 6 or 7 months ago. And then I sat down and I started watching it, and I was like, holy shit, this is hitting on a lot of different things. And they were showing me these episodes where River, I guess is her name, she had this diary that looked like that blue sort of pattern of the, what do they call it? The TARDIS. It looks like a phone booth, but it's actually a spaceship that moves through time. It's like a sentient spaceship that has the ability to, traverse through time. So it feels like this is the diary that they're kind of referencing here. It's like that, like you have all of these timelines of events that you've written down or categorized or stored in this Akashic diary, in this DNA blueprint, in this energetic. They're showing me like a bowl of soup. Okay. Interesting. And the other thing that Spirit was showing me recently, which I think is relevant to this reading, is something called a Jinn particle. This is quantum physics. And apparently a Jinn particle is something that is created through a time paradox. So basically, somebody goes back in time, does something, triggers an event that creates itself. An example of this was something about like if Beethoven had never existed and this person who loved Beethoven's work went back in time to meet him and brought all of the sheet music to get it signed by him, only to realize that Beethoven was never a real entity, never was alive, never existed. And then out of grief, the guy because he brought all of the music, he was like, well, I'm just going to have this published. And then there it is. Another example of this, more accessible, I guess, is, it's interesting that they're both connected to music here, but the second example is Marty McFly in Back to the Future, when he's playing the song on stage, and then the brother of the guy who actually ends up writing and performing the song in the future says, hey, listen to this. You initially think that the artist wrote the song, but Marty played it for the first time in the past and then and gave the idea of that song to the guy in the future. So who wrote the song? Because it wasn't actually the guy who initially performed it, because he got it from the past. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of hard for me to explain because I haven't fully delved into this topic yet and understood it. So I'm kind of trying to explain something that I don't fully know yet. But they're bringing it up for a reason. So there's something about you traveling through time here with these different states of consciousness. Marriage could have been significant to this. That resulted in, they said something about a fever dream. Okay, I don't know. That's so random. Like a hallucination of some kind, or maybe you were shown something in a state of altered consciousness and it was confusing to you. But back to what they were saying before was like something is produced kind of out of nowhere, like it happens because it happened. It exists on its own quantumly, even though it appears to have originated at one point on the timeline. Because there was an alteration to that timeline, it kind of exists in and of itself. That's what they're showing me here. I don't know how this is connected to your soul blueprint and what we're talking about here, the environment, the Time Lords, but it's coming up for a reason. Ooh, mermaids. Yeah, we're definitely talking about Atlantis. Wear your crown. Yeah, rulership. I heard rulership and boundaries. Interesting. Okay. Okay, they're showing me something about the boundaries of time and space. Exploring the boundaries of time and space. Going back in time to rewrite history. Why? Why, Spirit? Why do that? And is that safe? Okay, they're saying something about multiverse theory. They're showing me Marvel and the Avengers. So maybe, again, like fictionally speaking, this has been presented in some way. They're showing me something about a highest timeline. And they're saying highest probability. So it's like there's multiple different offshoots of a particular timeline with different outcomes, different events, same characters, different story development. And the highest timeline is the one that holds the most potential. Now, they're not saying highest in this context as like the best timeline. In other contexts, I would use it that way. But what they're showing me here is the highest one is kind of like the strongest one. And it's based on probability. It's statistical. They're showing me like the math of it, but I don't really fully understand the math. But anyway, it's like you're able to identify which timeline has the highest probability of the potential effect that you are trying to create in the environment when it comes to this outcome. What is the outcome that you're trying to achieve here, I wonder? Let me ask. Okay, well, they said, first of all, there's many of you watching this group. So I'm not reading for one person here. If I was reading for one person, the answer would be different. But they just showed me the group that I'm reading for, there's different outcomes that you're trying to get to occur. They said the word simultaneously. And there's something about the trajectory of events. Ultimately, if you're part of the 144,000, the outcome, ideally, is for the evolution of human consciousness, the evolution of Earth. And they're saying something about galactic status. Mermaids also remind me of Mintaka. Wearing your crown reminds me of sovereignty. So God's sovereignty. Knowing thyself as a creator being. Not giving your power away to false truths or false rulers or false gods. And there's multiple timelines. They're showing me multiple timelines where different things happened or things unfolded in different ways. I still don't fully understand this one. I'm going to go back in with this. Can I get clarity, please, for group number 1? And just like for me too, like I'm just curious about what happened here, what we need to know about this, why we're even talking about this in the first place. Karma. This is why. Okay, we're talking about karma. And they're showing me the DNA again. So it's like the diary of the karma is in the DNA. And they want you to look at this. Your spirit guides want you to look at this because it's part of the... Okay, they're saying something about segregation. And they're showing me these boundary lines between different timelines, boundary lines between different potentials, actually, is more accurate. They're telling me to tell you, the more you study quantum physics, the clearer this will become. So they're showing me string theory, they're showing me black holes, they're showing me gravity and time space. The more you understand this, the more you will understand your role as a Time Lord, because that's what we're talking about here. I mean, that's like the function. They're actually saying something about a wave function. It's reminding me of like the double slit experiment where a wave collapses down into a particle form. Especially how the observer can influence that. And they said you kept a diary, literally and akashically, like spiritually, you kept a diary of this. Your spirit guides have more of the information, so go to them directly. I'm here to prompt you. I'm not here to give you all the answers, because you are a powerful being and you have this in you. If you practice channeling through writing, this could be important. You could be bringing through a lot of information from your past that will help you to kind of put these messages into perspective. Shadows. And they said karma. They had me, they in my mind, I went like this before I even did that. So, okay, karma. This is what they're talking about here. The shadows of this karma reside in the DNA and must be expunged. Expelling these projects is actually the word they chose. Projects from within the hidden realms will expose the deviants who sought to structurally reform the timeline trajectories toward their own selfish means. Okay. Now they're showing me global catastrophes and environmental decline. Those were the false timelines they're showing me. They're like darker. I can actually see all these branches of timelines, and they're darker. They're like denser in some way. And they're showing me uplifting humanity, and they're showing me like almost like grabbing people, energetically pulling them into the higher timeline, which to me actually in this case does look like it's the one that's the most solid, the one that's the most, it's like bolded and it's glowing. It looks like the one that's the highest probability. Don't believe the hopelessness. That's the key. Is like you need to shed light on these shadows for people. You're here to speak on it. You're here to write on it. You're here to illuminate. You're here to bring hope possibly through fiction or through your story or through the sovereignty that you represent and embody, or just through your vibration alone. But I'm really seeing, this was what they were showing me, was like picking up the people and pulling them out of these dark timelines by allowing them to see the hope, by not succumbing to the darkness and the decline of these false environments that once housed them or caged them. Significant other. Okay, we did have the word married and the law of one. I had a feeling this was going to come up. Everything's connected. You as a Time Lord operate with the law of one. I want to put this right here. This is the highest sovereignty understanding, is that everything is one thing. There is no separation. There's some kind of a karma between, okay, there's tests. There's some kind of a karma between you and a significant other that is representing, they're saying something about having once succumbed to the darkness. So there was maybe a timeline or two or more. They're showing me actually like a lot. The fabric of space-time they're showing me now. And this hopelessness was really a forgetting. It's like forgetting the truth, forgetting the law of one, forgetting your sovereignty, forgetting who you are, forgetting why you came here or who you were meant to become. So there's a process of remembering here that your spirit guides are trying to get you to wake up to, and a significant other could be part of that, in the sense that they show you or reflect back to you or mirror to you an aspect of yourself that you forgot or was lost in this. They're showing me like a hidden diary. And it may play out through some shadow stuff that is triggered within you that's part of this karmic connection. But in this case, we're not talking about like a negative karmic where the relationship is really toxic and codependent and dysfunctional and narcissistic and empath and blah, blah, blah. No. It's not like that. The way they're showing it to me with this significant other, I mean, those could have been experiences, right? So needing to learn boundaries was probably something that those experiences taught you if you went through them. But this one that we're talking about specifically, they're saying the word resided. And they're showing me that hut again. So they resided with you in that previous timeline. They were connected to you, sister or brother, I'm hearing. Okay. And yes, we do change roles as we reincarnate. Like I've seen that, especially doing Akashic readings for people and looking at their past lives. I learned real quick that souls don't stay in the same role. We switch it up. We change genders. We change family dynamics. We change, like everything. But always kind of with this intention of what are we learning from this relationship dynamic, and how is this connection with this other soul important to us, and what is it teaching us or allowing us to learn within ourselves. So there's a test here regarding a significant other and the previous karma. Upholding your boundaries and not believing in the hopelessness. Maintaining faith is going to be important here. Not just the faith of the relationship, but also the faith, or more importantly, the faith of, it's like everything, like hope in the goodness of people, and they're saying saving the planet. They're showing me the Avengers again. They're showing me like wormholes and portals in space. Being able to reclaim your sovereignty is a huge part of this. And your partner, or this person, this significant other, who you may or may not be married to in this lifetime, or you may end up married to this person in this lifetime, will help you to see that. It's like they will challenge you, but they will ultimately restore your hope. So if they are breaking down your hope, and that's like a repetitive pattern, then that's not the person. That may be like an actual karmic, like a negative soulmate relationship or something like that. But this person we're talking about, the way they're showing it to me, is like someone who they challenge you to face your own shadows, but ultimately it leaves you feeling more hopeful and more aligned with yourself and more understanding of what you need and what you came here to do. They help you to recall parts of yourself that were once forgotten or lost. They help you to see the bigger picture, and they just help you to know yourself. Actually, what Spirit's saying is know thyself, know thyself. They help you know thyself because they mirror it back to you. They're showing you you. What are the tests here? Time out. Okay. Time out and time Lord. This relationship may have gone through a pause. The tests may have shown up as time being taken apart, or these incarnational cycles is actually what they're showing me, where you didn't reincarnate together. So there's like distance, but under the law of one, there isn't, because again, that's an illusion. Separation in any form is an illusion. They're showing me something about relativity and perspective. So general relativity, they've been showing me Einstein recently, and he did talk about that. So time relativity, they're saying perspective of time, the passage of time. They're showing me the fastest point from point A to point B on a time scale is not straight. It's actually curved. What? Okay. Yes, they were showing me that before synchronistically, and they're kind of showing it to me again. They've been teaching me a lot about this. I have had to learn a lot more science recently than I ever have before. Okay, so there's something about the way these connections or time points are. They're saying something about parallel, and they're showing me the movie. What is it called? Interspace, or no? It's with Matthew McConaughey. It's not Contact. It's the one where he like is a spaceman and he travels through time. Time dilation could be part of this as well. You might want to look into that if you aren't familiar with it. Understand time dilation, understand time and time travel, they're saying, because you're a time lord. And as you learn these things at the human consciousness level or refresh your memory, it's going to help you to put things into context, into perspective within this relationship, within the memories stored in your DNA, and possibly even what you're meant to be sharing in terms of fiction or your biography or whatever. They actually said biology. Okay. Something about your biology being significant here as well. Yeah, DNA. Oh, yeah. What is this? I find myself asking that a lot lately. Spirit's been bringing through increasingly more technical information and way beyond the 3D. So yeah, if you're here for it, I'm happy that it's resonating and that it's helpful. Okay, there was a hair on the table. I don't know if you could see that through the camera. I could see it, but it was like a loop like this. A loop. Time loops. Not sure what that means. Interstellar. Thank you, Spirit. They reminded me that's the movie. And something about mermaids. I have a previous channeling, like when I did Soul Realignment, I used to have a Starseed Origin series where I would share bits of information from my work with that. And they're on my old channel, which again is linked on the home page of my channel here. It's at the bottom. If you scroll all the way down on the home page, you'll see other channels, and To Kitty and Beyond is the one where the Starseed Origin series is. It's a whole playlist, but Mintaka specifically is coming up or being referenced here. And they're showing me the environments. Mintaka, the planet was destroyed. And they're saying time loop, prevention, and environment. Okay, so prevention of the same thing that happened on Mintaka happening here. They're showing me Mars now and Maldek as well. Okay, so yeah, the prevention of the repeating pattern of that loop, getting out of that time loop. And by doing so, you have to kind of have, they're saying something about palpable. They're showing me like a heartbeat of the universe, and the way that you end a time loop that has been constructed, you have to deconstruct it piece by piece, and you have to do that by individual consciousness is what they're showing me. So like one person at a time has to incarnate and pull themselves out of that time loop by not believing in it, by shifting their consciousness, by elevating, raising their consciousness. It's like you reach mass effect. They just said something about mass effect. It's reminding me of like the 100th monkey effect, where consciousness kind of like it builds and is shared telepathically within a group. And then once it gets to about 100, it can rapidly jump and expand. It's like it goes up into the cloud and becomes accessible. If we're looking at it this way, it's kind of like this consciousness can be dropped into your awareness. They're showing me a DNA blueprint again. It gets activated, turned on, and then you can share that through like Bluetooth with the people around you, but you kind of have to be within the proximity, okay? Now, what will happen eventually is when you get to that critical mass with that consciousness in a group, it will rapidly expand, and it's like that information goes up into the cloud and then is accessible to anyone who has an internet connection. It's kind of like that. They have to choose to go there, or they need to be prompted, or that DNA needs to be turned on in some way, but it will become accessible. And then that timeline, the wave function collapses, they're showing me, into a different form. So it materializes differently. And this is what we're talking about with quantum physics, time lines, quantum leaping and jumping. And I don't fully understand it. I'm not a scientist. I'm a channeler. Okay. I'm an English major and a psychology major. Like this is not my area of expertise, but Spirit has been channeling this through me for a while, and I've learned a bit. I have so much more to learn, but this is kind of what they're showing me. They're also showing me this card, which is group 3's, the higher consciousness being significant here. Higher consciousness. That's the key. That's the key. That's the key, is what they just said. All right. Group number 1. I think I will leave the reading there. There's so much more that we could dive into here, but I would be here for hours, and I don't have time. So, talking about time, we all have time. Maybe we just need to go into no time, that time out, going into the void, the dark matter, something about no time or time existing outside. One last thing. This is very interesting. What they were showing me yesterday was how light, once light approaches the speed of light, or once it hits the speed of light, it's as if time doesn't exist. And so from the moment that the light leaves the sun and arrives 8 minutes later, approximately, here on Earth, and we see it, no time has passed for that photon of light. No time. But we perceive it and track it as 8 minutes. So there's something about the perception of time here, light waves, functions, quantum physics that you need to be understood, or it would be helpful anyway. even to just have a concept of it. Okay. If you're curious about the Law of One and you're not familiar with this, there's a lot of free information online about it. The one that Spirit guided me to at the beginning stages of my awakening was the literal Law of One book. And there's a free transcript of it online. It's like, I think it's thelawofone.com, literally. And it is a series of channelings from the Raw Collective that has a lot of valuable information in it. So if you obviously use your discernment, trust your intuition to guide you, if it feels right for you, explore that as well. Okay, guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to check out the intro if you're interested in booking an Akashic style channeled reading in the format of like this, which I will have available by the time this reading is posted, and that will be through my website. It's tarotandbeyond.com. ITS tarotandbeyond.com. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 2. Welcome to your reading. It has been a hot minute since I did group number 1's reading. I started that at the beginning of January. It is now the end of January. That has not happened before. So I'm taking that as part of the message for your group, specifically group number 2. There may have been a long pause between lifetimes, since what we're talking about in the topic of this reading is past lives that influenced you or that helped shape the development of your soul. So you may have gone into a particular lifetime and then had some time in between, and I'm hearing time to spare. It's like you had time to spare so that you could review what you had been through. I'm hearing something about retrieving memories. I'm also noticing that the words time to spare is reminding me of the word despair. So you may have had to process some grief. You may have had to do a lot of review of the previous lifetime that you were in. And then there was some time that you spent in the spirit realm, kind of just like healing a bit almost, or like taking a break and then diving back in again. The card that you chose is St. Francis, Animal Communication, Activation, and Service. So you may have been, actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at this card, given the message that just channeled through, I do feel like you may have been an animal in a past life. That's not super common, but I have seen that. Like I used to do client Akashic readings, and I saw at least one person who had a past life as an animal. In fact, her past life was a horse, and it was really cool that I got to channel that, because from the perspective of the channeler, I get to basically be in the lifetime that I'm witnessing as the person, which is really cool. So I'm not just standing on the sideline observing it, I'm actually in there experiencing what it was like to be them. And in that case, I was experiencing what it was like to be a horse, which was really cool. But she did have some trauma in that lifetime. And I'm kind of feeling like that may have happened for you, group number 2. Like you went into a lifetime as an animal and there was some kind of abuse or some kind of trauma or some kind of hardship that you had to face. And there was a connection to humanity. Usually that's what happens if an animal incarnates into a lifetime where they are interconnected with human consciousness. It's like it bridges the gap and allows them to evolve. So the next incarnation, if they so choose, or if they're ready at the soul level, they can evolve into that higher dimensional consciousness. So going from like the second dimension to the third and fourth and so on. So group number 2 feels like you are actually, or sorry, this says activism, not activation. Sorry, I was going to say this feels like an activation for you to remember these past lives, okay, plural, I guess, as an animal. We're going to be using a new deck that came in, again, in between group 1 and group 2. And this was sent in by Shawnee. It is the Sacred Symbols Oracle deck. So thank you, Shawnee, for supporting from behind the scenes or behind the screen, as she said. So much love to you, gratitude and appreciation for this gift. It really warms my heart. And I've been working with this deck in so many of the readings that have yet even to be posted. Okay, so let's take a look. Fire. Ooh, the first thing I saw, like as soon as I pulled this card over, was a raging forest fire and all these little bunnies kind of scurrying to escape it. That could be literal in terms of this past life. It could be symbolic. Bunnies or rabbits can represent fear. But on the flip side, they can also represent fertility, keen senses, and community as well. They're showing me a bunny warren, like a rabbit warren, the den that's dug under into the ground. So something about like 2D consciousness is earth consciousness. That's what I'm taking from this. And you really were like deep into, I'm hearing the word submerged. You were really submerged into that consciousness. I'm also hearing evolution through the elements. Release. This card keeps coming out every time I use this deck so far in all the readings I've done, some of which are not posted yet. This card keeps coming out. Yeah, they just drew my attention to the dove, which is a sign of forgiveness and peace. In this case, it does feel like a release. So group number 2, I'm getting the sense here that in these past lives that we're talking about that shaped you, there was a lot of necessary things that you had to work through to process, to release, because there was a lot of pain. I'm hearing the word jarring, like things that jarred you at soul level. And I'm starting to get itchy, which is usually a sign that there's some like uncomfortable energy or there's some density that's having difficulty being expressed or being worked through. Oh, soulmate. Okay, I'm here. I heard a bunch of different things with that one. So the first thing I heard was soul connection. I heard soul family as well, which is actually coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, what I have named the top tier of the members group on this on the channel here. So it's called the Soul Family, and we do live streams. So there could be a specific message here for one of the Soul Family members, or this could be talking about connections that you had in your soul family. Because it is, because they're showing me the rabbit warren again, like the little den, which is like family. They're showing me networks of community that you have within that 2-dimensional realm. So these past lives as an animal or as a nature spirit or as somebody who kind of lived many lives in that 2-dimensional earth realm. I'm also seeing cavemen. Yeah, that is the 2D field of the earth. Okay, so you're an ancient soul, or you've been here for a long time, group number 2. It's not like it's not like you just started out, but I think maybe at some point in this incarnational cycle, it did feel a bit heavy and you took a break. I keep getting that message. Grounded. Yep, this is very grounded energy. Like the 2-dimensional earth space is it's like super grounded. It's very physical. It's very, in some cases, dense. It doesn't have a lot of consciousness, but it does have a lot of consciousness. Okay, let me explain. The consciousness in the 2D realm is not conscious of itself necessarily, but it is highly conscious and sensitive to the environment, to the connections within that environment. Let's go in with a different deck now. Like which one though? Damn. Okay. I was not expecting to pull this deck, but this is the one that called the Il Fuego deck, and it has to do with fire yet again. This is the deck that I use when like we're looking at kind of like difficult topics or we're working with like denser energy. So group 2, I'm just getting this confirmation over and over again that you lived a lifetime, at least one, if not more, that were quite jarring for you. That's the word that I keep getting, is like it was difficult. 2 of Wands. The world. Just being on this planet. Just being in the physical. It feels like it's very dense or difficult, or there's like a lot that you're working through at these deeper levels. The Hanged Man. Yeah, you needed a break. This is what I was saying. I kept getting that from the very beginning. Like you took a break. You took a break in between lifetimes to be able to process whatever this was that was going on. The dog really just called my attention here in the corner. I also just heard the 4 horsemen. What is that? That's a reference to the apocalypse. Okay, what? And the dove. Okay, there's something here, group number 2, in these past lives that felt like it was the end of the world, or maybe you endured some, okay, like let's say for example, let's take it all the way back, that you were a dinosaur and you lived through the apocalypse of that species. Or you didn't live through it, but you were incarnated as a being during that. You know, the asteroid hits the earth or whatever happened. The reason I say that was because I got something about Ice Age, okay? And this is what it felt like in this hangman energy and this in-between state. It's like needing to process what happened because it was quite disturbing or disorienting or jarring. It's like it really kind of, it really took a lot out of you at soul level to be in the physical space at sort of a lower consciousness, enduring or just even being in that environment. I don't think that they were necessarily bad lives or anything. It was different than what you were used to. That's what it feels like, the Chariot. But you've been moving forward for quite some time. Okay, this is very specific, but I just saw a dog getting hit by a car. That's not predictive. We're talking about past here. So this may have been something that happened to you or something that was very jarring for you. I'm also seeing the dog being saved. I'm seeing an amputation of the back leg or legs. I can't tell. It's just like there's something going on with the back legs. And rehabilitation. And this is again being echoed at that higher level where you kind of had to go through a bit of rehabilitation in between the lifetimes to process what went on. And to use that experience within whatever these incarnations held to your advantage at soul level to be able to grow. Oh my God. I just realized he's got wooden legs. And I was seeing something about the amputation of the legs. Holy shit. And the legs symbolically represent our ability to be grounded. There's some kind of a soul connection here between you and a pet. Specifically, that's what's coming through. You and a pet. 5 of Swords reversed. The pet brings you great peace. It's a blessing, I'm hearing. A blessing in disguise. Something was a blessing in disguise. Not necessarily the pet, but maybe the way that you came to be in connection to this animal, or the lifetimes that you had as an animal. Though difficult, they helped to connect you with these soul family members that help you to evolve, or that kind of pulled you out of a tricky situation. I'm not quite sure what it was specifically that happened here, but it feels very much to me like the end result here was in your connection to the right people at the right time to give you a chance, is what I'm hearing, a chance to evolve your consciousness, to step it up a notch or a scale. They're showing me like scales of music almost, where you're taking it up an octave. 3 of Pentacles. You can see why I use this deck when we're talking about difficult energy, because it's got some like pretty grotesque and gruesome imagery here. But I'm really seeing more so that like you just went through a lot. For some of you, or for somebody in this group, you have the ability to communicate with animals. And the main reason for that is, yes, because you're a psychic and you're a sensitive, but also because you've been one. Because you lived as one. So like you speak that language. Energetically, you know that frequency. So I'm just seeing here, like with the head being cut off, it's like metaphorically or symbolically representing removing of the ego and getting back to that consciousness that really comes from this grounded nature. I'm seeing even like with the Hanged Man here, how he's got his eyes and the face is in the chest, not in the head. So it's seeing through the heart. This is what allows you to connect to and to speak to. I'm hearing reminisce with, okay, they said fallen brethren. So somebody here may be a medium or an animal medium, like channeling animals who have crossed over. I'm hearing something about ancient ancestors as well, ancient ancestors. And the tower. And the first thing that really drew my attention here was the skeleton lying underneath the tower. It's like the bones, the ancient ancestors that helped to build this tower into existence. But then that it gets struck down, which was, again, that sort of apocalyptic or cataclysmic type energy of either like the car accident or the meteor hitting the earth or whatever it was, asteroid. The ice age. It all feels quite abrupt. And like I said, they keep giving me the word jarring. Am I missing something? Because sometimes when they give me the same word over and over again, it could be that they just want me to emphasize that word because it's significant. Sometimes I like to look them up because there's additional meaning that I'll get from the description of the actual word, like the definition. But sometimes it's because I'm not picking up on something. And so I need to dive a little deeper into like either the etymology of the word or what that word represents or what it can be linked to. Okay, so when I think of jarring, the first thing that actually comes to head is comes to a head. Something's coming to a head. The first thing that is coming to mind is jar heads, which is a term for military people, I believe. So there could be something about lifetimes where there was war. Okay, the 2D is low consciousness as well. So if you became a human, then had to deal with some kind of like human conflict, as in war, becoming, joining the army, and then having, again, something to do with the amputation of the legs being significant. It's giving me like, what is his name? Sergeant John or something from Forrest Gump, like he loses his legs and he's very bitter about it afterwards. Not saying that you are, but it feels like, again, this is maybe why there was a break that was taken between lifetimes for quite some time to recover the Fool, to recover your innocence, to recover the passion for life again, to sort of let the spirit fabric reheal itself is what they're showing me. Root chakra was damaged. Okay, yeah, the legs are connected to the root, and it was difficult to get grounded after that. So there was a break that needed to happen to allow that soul level healing. The dog, again, standing out to me. So dogs, or a dog, could be very significant. I just heard your protector. Okay, so you're protected by dogs. Whether you have one or not, this could be a spirit dog. Ace of Pentacles. Ooh, interesting. I heard comeuppance, but interestingly, they focused me in on the word pence, which I think is a measurement of money. It's like a pence. What is that from? Is that like Old English monetary value system? I don't know, but there's something about comeuppance and pence, the money, comeuppance to do with money, something about money and the moon. This is all very veiled because it's ungrounded. It's like it's in the ethers. There's something very vague about this, but now we have the Justice card on the bottom and they are saying comeuppance again, and they're saying it more excitedly now, like okay, comeuppance. What is this? The King of Pentacles reversed. This could be like that you didn't have the financial resources that you needed to cover the losses that you took, or that you needed or need the money to be able to protect others who are in vulnerable positions. There's something about the connections that you have to the animal kingdom or to serving humans, but it feels more linked to to animals. Knave of Swords reversed. Ooh, she was blindfolded there. Where was it? She was blindfolded there, but she's not blindfolded there, which is interesting because the Justice card, she's usually blindfolded. So there was something that was veiled that you're now being able to see. It's still a bit foggy, but you do have the eye and the tear here in this pentacle, or in this coin, that is speaking to me of some kind of grief and something that you're getting to kind of help you to overcome that, or to pay you back for something that you lost. It's like karmic retribution that has to come back to you, and the payment may be in a physical form, or it may be in a life that feels very grounded, very safe, very supported by the soul family, or by a protector, or by a connection to a particular being, whether human or animal. It just feels like there's kind of like a weighing of the scales that took place in the afterlife, in that review that you did, in that time period that you took in between incarnations, so that you could really assess what was the best course of action in this current incarnation, the version of you that I'm talking to, like the person who you are now. So that the pain of the past would not be repeated, and that instead you would be able to come back and incarnate in a way that actually helped you to heal and to grow, rather than setting you back by continuing those old patterns. But there is some still like residual stuff that needed to be played out at the physical level, just maybe not in an as direct or gruesome, like very violent way. Like it needed to be played out, but more abstractly, in a sense. So it's like you've been working on these memories, or you've been working on attuning to the frequency of peace again after a period of profound disruption to your natural state of being. That's what this feels like, group number 2. It's all coming back into balance though, and things that were removed from you are being retrieved. They're showing me a golden retriever bringing back a bone and being able to bury that bone. So yeah, it's like the past is no longer going to haunt you anymore. You're able to lay it to rest. You're able to grieve it. You're able to get some kind of closure and move on. And then it's almost like from that you get some kind of payout. I don't know if it's going to be physical or what, but there's something that you're getting, almost like an inheritance is what it feels like, an inheritance that was meant for you. And you set this up for yourself because it was a way to balance out some of the karma and some of the difficult things you experienced, so that in this lifetime you would be a lot more stable. Yes, a lot more balanced. So that is the message, group number 2. I am blown away by these lifetimes and how they're coming through. It's just always fascinating to me to be able to connect and to bring through these messages. Just take what resonates and leave the rest, as these are group readings and not necessarily personal readings. However, I will be offering a personal Akashic reading in the light of these messages that have been coming through. There's only going to be 5 spots available. I did put a little brief snippet about that just after the intro of this reading, so you can jump to it in the timestamps if you want to learn more. The link to book is in the description box below. I'm giving my Soul Tribe and Soul Family members first dibs. So if there are any left after that, then you will find them through the website, which is linked below, as I said. And if not, I will open up small segments of readings in the future as well as I'm called. I'm just kind of needing to reserve my energy a little bit, and I thank you for respecting that. So I love you guys. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 3. Welcome to your reading. This one has been a long time coming, as I mentioned in group 2, but if you weren't there for that reading, I took a break between group number 1 and group number 2 for about like a month. It was the beginning of January when I started this reading, and now it's the end of January. So that's never really happened before. And this card, I remember really standing out to me in group 1. So there could be something there, or there's something about that I'm actually meant to rewatch. They just said, okay, I'm meant to rewatch group 1. So maybe, anyway, I won't go into that. This is editing Siobhan. I did go back and watch group number 1's reading just now, and it was mind-blowing because there was messages in that reading of stuff that they were actually showing me today. So it was all in divine order, and having done group number 3, you're going to see why this is so significant. Let's stick with your reading here. You chose Archangel Christiel. It says higher consciousness, Christ light, and light. We're talking about past lives that influenced you and your soul's development. I haven't pre-selected any decks for your reading group number 3, so let me just take a second and tune in and see which ones they want me to gravitate toward. Okay, interestingly, they actually had me grab the deck that these cards are from, which I had put in a basket off to the side. So it's not like they were even on my desk. And then the other one is the Rose something. I'm so bad with like naming the decks. I do apologize for that. I'm bad at naming them. I'm bad at linking them. Organization, not my strong suit. So group number 3, what is the past life that we're talking about here, or past lives that were significant to your soul's development? We have Archangel Raguel. What is he saying here? Relationship, healing, calm, and honesty. Archangel Ariel, environmental abundance, guardian of the earth. Sekhmet, fierceness, destruction, and rebuilding. One more. Not that one, though. Let's get a different one from in here. There. Horus, clear seeing, intention, and perspective. Okay. For your group, I kind of just want to get all the cards on the table. Usually I kind of read as I go along, but for some reason I'm feeling like I need to get all the cards on the table. So let's get into this deck now, to the Rose Oracle, or whatever it's called. Okay. And thank you to the subscribers and members who sent in these decks to us. The Rose Thread, Inner Call, Soul Led, The Mystic, and Living Courageously. Plant yourself here, integration, embodiment, and grounded action, especially sitting underneath Archangel Ariel. That's really significant. Like these past lives, it feels like you're so very rooted and grounded in your mission here, group number 3. This feels really strongly like I'm hearing predestination or pre-planning, like you very much set this up intentionally to be a specific outcome. Like you wanted this lifetime to be a specific outcome. And these previous lifetimes, it feels like you kind of did the same thing. Like this isn't the first time that you've set up the dominoes in such a way to unfold very, very intentionally. I just keep feeling like this intention behind it, this higher consciousness really leading the way in terms of what you intended to accomplish here. Service to others is coming up. I'm hearing service to others. And it was like multiple lifetimes layered on top of one another is what they're showing me clairvoyantly right now. Layers and layers of parallel lifetimes that are all concurrently happening right now, simultaneously outside of the time-space continuum. When we're looking at it like that, from this vantage point, it looks like it's in the past. But from the perspective they're showing it to me, your avatar consciousness is actually the phrasing I'm getting. Your avatar consciousness is really controlling all of these lifetimes at the same time. And because of that, the way that you're operating is almost like they're showing me like the different fingers and the hand of God. So it's like you descended into this realm. You are God controlling this hand, and all of these different lifetimes are the fingers, and they're all kind of working in different ways, but they work together. And the hand is meant to grab something or to hold something. It's very dexterous. So it's like there's something about you being able to have like this thread of connection between all of these lifetimes that helps you to propel or to do something. Inertia, I'm hearing, and something about movement or dexterity. Sophia, look at that. Divine plan, wisdom, intelligence within, and destiny. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm getting. This is what I'm channeling through, is that you're living in these multiple lifetimes, having this higher perspective because you're doing this all very intentionally. This is part of your divine plan, the divine plan. You are like, you are the right hand of God is what I just heard. Wow. Okay. And that's why your destiny is a lot more, I want to say rudimentary, it's very fundamental. It's very basic. It's very structured. It's very direct. But at the same time, it's super complex. You know what they're showing me right now? It's like when you set up dominoes, it's pretty basic, right? Like you're just putting one block here and one block here and one block here and one block here. But then when you zoom out, what they're showing me is this like super intricate mosaic of all of these dominoes lined up in such intricate and intentional ways that it forms a beautiful piece of art. It's like a masterpiece. This is the destiny. And all of these lifetimes that you set up, they're pretty basic. They all accomplish kind of one thing. Like this finger does this finger does that. But when they all work together, you're able to create a work of art. Just like the hand and its dexterity is able to create literal art. You may be an artist, but what I'm seeing here, if you're not a literal, like hands-on artist, what I'm seeing is that at the soul level, the art that you create is the destination that you're going to. It's in the process as well, but they keep saying something about predestined or destiny, something about what you're here to accomplish. I don't know if we'll be able to find out what that is, guys. I want to ask, but as soon as the thought popped into my head, I felt like maybe that's not territory that we can go into. Only your soul is meant to know that. The mystic rose, compassion, devotion, humility, humanity, and grace. You are 100, 1000%, 1,000,000% here on this planet in these lifetimes with this divine plan playing out, here to serve humanity. You are a compassion soul, which, oh my God, the spirit of compassion is literally the right-hand man of God. I mean, let's take the word man out of it. It's just the right hand of God is the energy of compassion, the spirit of compassion. So you may work with the spirit of compassion. You may be a healer. You may be somebody who's just very intentional with how you exude positivity into the human race, like the way that you interact with people. It just feels very service-based. So everything that you do does come from this fundamental place of love, compassion, Christ consciousness. It's like there's just an air of God's grace about you, group number 3. And okay, all of a sudden I just started hearing the song Shake It Off. What? Shake it off, shake it off. So maybe you're shaking something off. Something of, they're showing me actually like, okay, this is an interesting image. They're showing me like a faux fur blanket almost, and it's like ratty and matted and it's got fleas in it. It's just a blanket, but it's like old and worn and kind of gross, and there's fleas in it, and there's something about like shaking it off. Maybe this is what you're doing here, or what you're helping other people to do is like shaking off like parasites or infestations or something. There's something about healing here and cleansing. Like you have a very cleansing energy. And it's funny though, because they were the person I was seeing, they weren't gendered or anything. It was just kind of like, like a dream person that's very vague, but they had on this coat that was very clear to me, and they were wearing it like a cape, like this blanket. It looked like a cape almost. So what do I think of when I think of a cape? Well, I think of like superheroes. I think of these archetypes of beings that are here to be of service, because that's what the superhero represents. So it feels very much to me, group number 3, like the past lives that you've been in, even if you did get down and dirty, it's like you weren't afraid to kind of jump into the fray of things and, really get on your hands and knees. They're showing me, all right, they're showing me Princess Diana now, and they're showing me, they showed me a nun. I don't know who that nun is. They showed me a nun. Okay. And they showed me the nun washing the feet of a homeless person. Okay. So again, these archetypes of like not being afraid to have or show compassion or to be of service to anyone and everyone, especially those who are down on their luck, especially those who are energetically gotten themselves dirty, or physically are dirty, or both. There's something about healing as well. I'm being drawn to, like, for example, medical medium, and his channeling work about healing and to do with healing, he does channel the spirit of compassion. And I remember when I came across his work, it was right after I had called out to God for help because I was going through some physical health issues, and it was really painful, and I was just desperate at that point. And those books like basically plopped into my lap. And I don't necessarily believe in or support everything that he is or says or does, but I know that those books were brought into my life for a reason. And then shortly after that, the spirit of compassion started working with me very directly. And it was funny because he would come to me in the shower. Actually, that's not uncommon. A lot of the times when I actually see spirits and entities, it is when I'm in the shower. And that's, I learned later on that that's because of the running water, and also because I'm in a state of receptivity. I'm cleansing, I'm open, naked and vulnerable, but in a good way. And the spirit of compassion came through to me, and he looked just as the books had described him. But he wouldn't speak. He would always kind of like mime things to me. And I just remember him pointing to my stomach and telling me that I had something going on there and I needed to get it checked out. And then I did, and there was something going on there, and I did have to work to heal that using the protocols. But so there's something about you being connected to the spirit of compassion and being able to, or like you're an embodiment of that, is actually what they just said. Group number 3. I don't know if you know this, but you are like an offshoot of the spirit of compassion. You're an earth angel for sure. You're here to heal people. That's what you do. So if you go into the healing arts in any way, whether that's through art, whether that's through food, whether that's through traditional, Western healing or Eastern healing or spiritual healing, energy healing, I don't know. But there's something here about you being a guardian on this earth, planting yourself here for a reason, to be able to shine this light and to do this healing work on behalf of the whole of humanity. And one person at a time, like dominoes, every single person that you positively affect is part of that mosaic that you are painting. Oh my God, that you're creating. Every single person that you touch lights up, and they're showing it to me like every person lights up, and then it creates this, it's almost like light bright. Do you guys remember that? It was like a little board, and there was these little pegs that you would put into it, and then you could make a picture out of it. That's what they're showing me, is that your hand of compassion, like the love that you share, the healing that you provide, it touches all of these different souls, and you turn them on. You activate them to their own light and to their own healing. And through that, it's a ripple effect, and it creates this beautiful picture from the top down, like from the God's eye view. That's what they just said, God's eye view. You are a healer, and you are healing, and you are helping others to heal. Louise Hay may also be significant. Something about healing your body, or you could be working to heal your body in this lifetime, and that's part of it. Maybe you will have that ripple effect onto other people, or you already have. But yeah, there's something about the ability to heal that is so significant here. It's because you hold that Christ light. You have the spirit of compassion right with you. And speaking of the spirit of compassion, I don't think I even finished that story because I got so much more coming through. But he would never speak. Like, I can hear spirit. I can hear their voices. I can feel their energy, and they communicate to me pretty like verbatim. But the spirit of compassion, I could never hear his voice. And I asked him why. He always kind of like signaled to me, like we were like playing charades. And I would say, can you just like speak to me? And he shook his head. And I think on like the 3rd or 4th time of me asking him to speak to me, he was finally like, okay. And he like signaled to me like, okay, but it's going to be a lot. And he like gave me that impression energetically. I could feel like telepathically what he was trying to say to me. And I was like, I still want to hear it. Just, humans being curious. And he finally, I don't even know what he said, but it was just like I got blasted back. Like, it felt like every fiber of my being was about to explode, and everything was shaking, and I was just so disoriented. And it was like, I was in shock. I was like, holy shit. It was the most powerful one of the most powerful things I've ever felt. Next to an experience that I had that was a direct channeling of God, which was the most powerful thing I've ever felt. I won't go into that in this reading, but it feels like, again, this is a reference to you being that right-hand man of God, or you having that direct connection to the spirit of compassion, and that spirit of compassion being the next best connection. It's like right next to God. And it's like a huge, huge responsibility to have that level of power and to work with it in such a way that you do no harm. I'm getting the Hippocratic Oath coming through, which is like what doctors have to take to say, we're going to do no harm. We're here to heal and to stand in that integrity. So at soul level, you look like a nurse to me energetically. Like that's the archetype, like a superhero nurse. That may be nothing to do with what you physically do in terms of your work here as a human, but like at soul level, that's what you look like to me. You're like, you're a healer. That's like, there's no other way for me to say it. Just boom. Yes, that's it. You're a healer. And these previous lifetimes that you set up for yourself, you allowed yourself to experience the true art of healing. And so I do get the sense that you traveled throughout the world in different lifetimes, experimenting and exploring different healing techniques. So as I mentioned before, if you are called to Western or traditional or esoteric or plant medicine or healing with different foods, like there's so much that I'm seeing here that you have in terms of your history of working with the art of healing at the human level. And then you also have that divine spirit of compassion just channeling right through you all the time. And so you're able to use that to your advantage when it comes to healing yourself and others too. So if you've ever struggled with health issues, just know that this is part of the plan. And it's part of the destiny as well. It's part of your healing. And it's part of how you heal others too. Because when you operate from this unified principle, from this higher perspective of consciousness, you understand that when you heal yourself, you heal the world. That's how it works. You don't have to go out and necessarily heal other people directly. You just heal yourself and you emit that frequency. And by doing so, you are creating a ripple effect. But I also see you working with other people too, group number 3. Whether you do it for work, for pay, whether this is what you get paid to do or not, you are touching other people's lives in a positive way. And it is creating a masterpiece of a mosaic. So that is what I see for you, group number 3. Wow, we really finished strong here in these readings. I'm going to have to go back and watch group number 1. And if any of you are interested in group number 2 as well, there could be something there for you, because it feels like you are in service to the people in group 2 for some reason. Like that you wouldn't necessarily resonate with group 2 as like your own story, but maybe you would resonate with it as the people that you're helping to heal in some way. Interesting. I've never had that message, that type of thing come out either. So yeah, group number 3, that's your reading. I am going to be offering a very small group of people readings. So I have 5 tarot channeling style Akashic readings like this to go into past lives and any messages that Spirit wants to bring through to you. I am giving the Soul Tribe and the Soul Family members here on the channel advanced notice on these readings. And if there are any left after they have gotten first dibs, then you can book through the website, which is linked in the description box below. And if you don't get a spot, don't worry. I will be opening up more spots as time goes on. So stay tuned here on the channel. There's lots more to come. So lots of love and blessings to you. Thank you so much for being here, group number 3, both in this reading and on this planet. It is much appreciated. This divine grace is so needed and so necessary here. So I love to see it and feel it. I love you, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye.